The Galactic Concord Palace had witnessed wars end and empires rise, but silence like this was rare. Absolute. Heavy. Terrifying. Hundreds of delegates stood frozen beneath the vaulted crystal dome, translators humming uselessly as every eye locked onto the small figure at the center of the hall. The tiny alien princess, no taller than a human child, stood clutching the hem of her mother's ceremonial robes. Her wings trembled, translucent and delicate, shimmering faintly under the palace lights. With one small clawed finger, she pointed straight at me. "Mom," she said in a clear, ringing voice that echoed far too loudly in the sudden quiet. "That's him." The palace fell silent. I swallowed. Queen Erilyn of the Lithari Dominion turned slowly, her expression shifting from patient composure to sharp focus. She followed her daughter's gaze. Straight to me. I was standing where humans were supposed to stand during diplomatic proceedings, at the edge of the hall, behind the formal line, visible but insignificant. A security advisor. A nobody. Certainly not someone who should stop the heart of an entire interstellar court. The queen's eyes narrowed, ancient and luminous. "Him?" she repeated. The princess nodded vigorously. "Yes. The human." A murmur rippled through the chamber. Lithari nobles whispered nervously, wings rustling. Other species leaned closer, sensing history forming in real time. I took an involuntary step back. "Your Majesty," I wanted to say, "you must be mistaken." But the princess didn't let me speak. "Here's the one," she insisted, tugging her mother's sleeve. "The one from the fire." Every instinct screamed danger. To understand why that moment mattered, you need to understand the Lithari. They were small, winged, luminous beings, physically fragile by galactic standards, but possessing one of the most powerful precognitive empathic abilities ever recorded. They could glimpse emotional futures, sense converging paths, and, on rare occasions, recognize individuals tied to critical destiny events. Because of this, the Lithari Dominion held enormous soft power. They didn't conquer. They advised. And civilizations that ignored their warnings tended not to last. Their royal line was especially sensitive, which meant when a Lithari princess pointed at you and named you, you didn't laugh it off. You waited for the consequences. Queen Erilyn descended the dais, her wings folding with regal control. She stopped a few steps from me, towering despite her small stature due to the authority she radiated. "My daughter does not make such claims lightly," she said. "Explain." Every delegate leaned in. I cleared my throat. "Your Majesty, I've never met your daughter." The princess frowned. "Yes, you have." My heart skipped. She stepped out from behind her mother, wings fluttering nervously as she studied my face. "You were bigger then," she said thoughtfully. "And you were bleeding." The memories hit me like a physical blow. Smoke. Heat. Screams. "Oh no," I whispered. 7 years earlier, before humanity had full diplomatic standing, I was a rescue trooper assigned to frontier disaster response. No medals. No glory. Just fast deployments to places everyone else had already written off. One mission had taken us to a Lithari colony world during a reactor cascade failure. The planet's infrastructure was fragile, optimized for beauty and harmony, not catastrophe. The evacuation had gone wrong. Structural collapse. Atmospheric fires. Panic everywhere. I remembered crawling through a burning habitat dome, oxygen alarms screaming, my suit cracked from falling debris. I remembered hearing a cry, thin, terrified, unmistakably alive. I found her trapped beneath a fallen support beam. Tiny, winged, glowing faintly despite the smoke. A child. My commander had ordered a full withdrawal. I ignored it. I lifted the beam, shattered my shoulder doing it, wrapped her in my jacket, shielded her wings with my own body as we ran through fire. I remembered the pain. I remembered thinking I wouldn't make it. I remembered handing her to a Lithari medic before collapsing. Then nothing. I'd assumed she never remembered me. Apparently, I was wrong. That was you, Queen Erilyn said quietly, realization dawning. The human who defied evacuation orders. Yes, Your Majesty, I said. I was later disciplined. The princess's eyes widened. You got in trouble. I smiled faintly. Worth it. Something shifted in the palace. The queen studied me with an intensity that made my skin prickle. My daughter nearly died that day, she said. Our seers foresaw only darkness beyond that moment. The chamber held its breath. But she lived, the queen continued. And every future path after that changed. She turned to her daughter. You said he was the one. What do you mean, little star? The princess hesitated, then spoke with surprising seriousness. He's safe, she said. Not strong like warriors. Not clever like thinkers. But when everything breaks, he stays. The words hit harder than any accusation. He doesn't run away, she added. Even when he's scared. Silence stretched. A senior Lithari noble hissed uneasily. Your Majesty, destiny binding with a Northwalder. This is not binding, the queen said sharply. This is recognition. She looked back at me. You saved my child without knowing who she was, Queen Erilyn said. Without promise of reward. Without expectation of survival. I nodded. She needed help. That, the queen replied, is not a common answer. She straightened, wings spreading slightly, a sign of formal declaration. Let it be known, she said, voice echoing across the palace, that this human is under the protection of the Lithari crown. The uproar was immediate. Objections. Shock. Alarm. The queen silenced them with a gesture. My daughter's future sight has never erred, she said. If she says this human stands at a pivotal path, then we will not ignore it. The princess ran forward suddenly and hugged my leg. I froze. She smells like fire and metal, she said happily. And not scary. I laughed despite myself, emotion tightening my chest. That's one way to describe humans. Queen Erilyn's expression softened. You will stay, she told me. As guest. As observer. As guardian, if you choose. I blinked. Me. You, she confirmed. The one who stayed when the universe burned. I remained in the palace for months. I advised on human disaster response methods. Trained Lithari teams in evacuation under pressure. Shared techniques born from a species that learned survival the hard way. And the princess, Elith, followed me everywhere. She asked endless questions. Why humans ran toward danger. Why we joked when afraid. Why we protected strangers. I answered honestly. Because someone has to, I said. One evening, as twin suns set beyond the palace spires, Queen Erilyn joined me on the balcony. My people once believed fragility was our greatest weakness, she said. Now I see, it is what taught us to value gentleness. She glanced at me. And humans, she continued, believe strength is endurance. I nodded. Our peoples may be more alike than we thought. She smiled faintly. Perhaps that is why destiny nudged our paths together. Below us, Elith laughed as she chased light creatures through the air. Mom, she called. "He's still here." The queen answered calmly, "I know, little star. I watched the child I once carried from fire, alive and laughing. And for the first time, I understood why the palace had fallen silent that day. Because sometimes the universe pauses, not for kings or queens, but for the quiet human who stayed when leaving would have been easier." And from that moment on, the stars remembered us.